Hello and welcome back to the Premier Injuries Podcast. Ben is trying to distract me, as he always does on these introductions. But today we're talking about a serious matter, so we shouldn't be messing around. We are talking about a big injury in terms of the Premier League. David Raya of Brentford has been ruled out for a very long time. Very sad, in terms of a team that's just come up promoted. You have thoughts and feelings for him because it's one of the biggest probably moments in his career, Brentford's history, and he'll be missing out a large chunk. Ben, can you explain what the injury is and why it's so bad and why he'll be out for such an extended period of time?
Yeah, so we've had an official update from the Brentford website. The head of the medical department, Neil Grigg, has confirmed that David Raya sustained a significant blow to his left knee on Sunday in a heavy challenge with Ayoze Perez. Now, post-match imaging and examination have revealed that it caused extensive damage to the posterior cruciate ligament. I suppose in the grand scheme of things, the PCL is one of those stabilizing ligaments, one of the main ligaments, along with the ACL, the more common injury that we see within football. And that actually stops the knee from moving backwards and forwards. So that's why this setback is such a significant blow. However, and I reiterate, as serious as it isn't quite as severe as maybe what we would expect with an ACL injury. Now, the club confirmed that the goalkeeper is expected to miss around 4 to 5 months. Now, I've had a quick look at the database, and that fits exactly with our return to play timelines as an average across the board. Now, we don't have a massive data set because this isn't a really common injury within football. It does crop up every now and again, but it's the stronger of those two ligaments, and therefore it doesn't happen quite as often. And also, is that what we need to consider, these injuries are rarely happen in isolation. Around about 3/4 of those injuries involve some kind of secondary bone injury, nerve damage, or something to the cartilage. But like I say, the club are treating this injury conservatively, which means that he won't be required surgery at this point in time. The head of medical department, Neil Grigg, expects that recovery to be quite a smooth process, that healing to take place without any kind of surgical intervention. And the prognosis is really good. I mean, players in recent times who suffered this similar types of injury, we had Newcastle's own Sean Longstaff. I think that was back in March 2019. Now, he spent 137 days on the sidelines, returned to play, again, fitting within that timeline. And also prior to that, I mean, Oxlade-Chamberlain is one of those high-profile players. When he was at Arsenal, he suffered a PCL injury, and that kept him on the sidelines for about 150 days. So, yes, it's bad news. However, look, all being well and without any setbacks along that way, we would expect to see David Raya back between the sticks for Brentford before the end of the season.
And that is a huge blow for him personally. We wish him a quick recovery. But in terms of fantasy Premier League as well, a lot of people do own him. He's just under 11%, 10.8%. And he's part of that kind of 4.5 goalkeepers that have done well this season. In terms of his individual data, I would say that he's been fairly impressive over the course of the season so far. He has a negative XG prevented. But what I would say is Brentford have recently played some really difficult teams. So in the last 4 game weeks, that's where the big negative has come in terms of his data. So he's on minus 2.9 goals prevented during that time. But over the course of the season, we have been talking about how brilliant Brentford have been. They sit just behind, well, not just behind, they're a little bit behind Man City in terms of XG conceded, 9.2 for the season, and they've only let in 9 goals. So they're about matching their XG conceded, which shows that he is a good goalkeeper. He's not allowing too many in, but also speaks of the quality of the team. So the natural kind of discussions will be, well, who to bring in. I guess you could bring in Fernandes, the goalkeeper from Brentford, the backup one, or if you're a little bit worried that maybe this is too much of a blow for you, or you might be kind of managing the fact that you've got other Brentford assets, then maybe you can move your attention to Sanchez of Brighton. So they've done really well defensively as well this season, and they're actually matching their data. And maybe a Maverick one. I don't know if this one attracts you at all, Ben, but you've got Gaita. Obviously, they've got some difficult fixtures against Man City next week, but Crystal Palace have done quite well defensively. In terms of looking at the Premier League, they actually sit fourth in terms of XG conceded, which is fairly impressive. But the worrying thing there is they've underperformed their XG conceded, and they've actually let 14 goals in when they should have only let in 9. So that's the kind of advice that we can give there. I mean, is there anything else that you want to add in terms of this injury update? And just is there anything more that you feel people need to know?
Not specifically. I mean, Neil Grigg just reiterated that, like I say, just to go over, it does not require surgery. The goalkeeper will be put in a knee brace to help protect that joint. That will limit flexion and extension during this crucial phase. You don't want to exacerbate the problem. And it also helps maintain that level of stability. And like I say, these early weeks in that recovery will be pivotal. But all being well, we could expect a return maybe by the end of, say, February. Possibly between the end of February and maybe the end of March, fingers crossed.
Well, we will keep you up to date with all that injury information. As always, do subscribe to the channel because we are the place for the most accurate information as well. We don't have any rumour, misinformation. We sometimes dispel rumour and misinformation. Sometimes that can even come from managers themselves, kind of guiding the community. But for now, I'm going to wish you the best of luck. I'm also going to wish David Raya as swift as recovery as possible, and we hope to see him back in the Premier League very soon. But for now, a goodbye from all of us here at Premier Injuries.